Flynn screaming downstairs. I wonder if I can get it on camera. Okay, you can kind of see these marks on my face. The like sheet marks. It's from these blankets. So Flynn has blankets like these. You see the design on it? It's on, the pattern is on my face. And we took a nap and now that's on my face. And it reminded me, it like triggered me and reminded me of school because I've always slept with a blanket like that my whole life. And I'd always wake up at the last minute to get to school on time. And oftentimes I'd have to go to school with that on my face and it was always so embarrassing. Does that happen to any of you guys who in the past, or if you currently are the type who, well, now you're in Zoom class, no one will see it. But like when you did go to school, did that ever happen to you? It happened to me all the time, it was so embarrassing. What are you eating, baby? Uh-oh, you dropped your Cheerio. Uh-oh. Yeah. We have been taking this stay-at-home order very, very seriously. We've been home for 2 months. I haven't had Starbucks in 2 months. And here we have a Starbucks, you guys. We went through Starbucks drive-thru. I really have not had a Starbucks in months. This is crazy. Oh, I have to sneeze. I don't want that to interrupt my first sip. Ow. Okay, she's staying. She wants to be a part of this sip, my sneeze. So I hope you enjoy this, Miss Sneeze. Doesn't taste how I remember. Is Starbucks awful? It doesn't taste good, love. Uh-oh. It's kind of good, actually. It's coming back to me. I'm remembering that I like it. All right, are we going in the pool? Here we go. Eric put on like the top 100 and all of the songs are from TikTok. Literally every song. I've never done that one, but I've seen a lot of people do it. Anyway, it's so crazy that literally every single song that has been played is like a viral TikTok dance. TikTok is taking over the freaking world. Okay, so the pool was nice, but there's something I want to talk to you guys about. I wanted to talk about it yesterday, but I wasn't quite sure how. And so this morning I talked to my friend Todrick, who I did waitress with. He's been a friend of mine for literally over a decade. He's awesome, and he lived with me for a while. And when he lived with me, he really opened my eyes to a lot of things. This is a serious issue I'm about to talk about, and I'm like kind of nervous to talk about it, but my whole life I've always been appalled and disgusted by racism and racist acts, obviously. I've always known that racism existed, but I never understood to the extent that it still exists until Todrick lived with me a couple of years ago and really explained to me how bad it still is. As a white, privileged woman, it's almost impossible for me to understand it unless it's really shoved in my face. So even though I can read the news and I can see the horrible things that are happening, but it's hard to really understand it until someone you know personally has experienced it and really explains it to you in words that make sense. Yesterday I wanted to talk about this, and today I wanted to talk about it, but I just didn't know how because I'm not a black person, and so I've never walked in their shoes, and I can't speak for anyone who's experienced racism. I want to be on their team and stick up for them and speak up when bad things are happening, and I want to be on their side and support them and love them and try to end the prejudice and racism that is still happening in our world, but I'm not educated enough on it to talk about it. So I was talking to Todrick this morning, and he was like, well, FaceTime with me today and we can film it, and you can put me on there, like you can have me talk about it. So that's what I'm gonna do. Basically, in February, a man named Ahmad was on a run. 2 white men pulled up in their pickup truck. I guess they kind of like chased him down in their truck and shot him. and they weren't arrested. Obviously, we hear about things like this a lot in the news about Black people being brutally attacked or murdered and there not being justice. And so I was really upset about this last night and I couldn't sleep thinking about it. I was like, I just don't understand. How could anyone be that evil? Like, how could anyone be evil enough to do that act? But also, how could anyone be evil enough to not arrest those people? I don't know. It was all really confusing to me and really frustrating to me and really sad. Yeah, that's why I called Todrick this morning. And so anyway, I'm gonna call him now and have a little convo with him. I feel like, unfortunately, we hear about this kind of stuff in the news and sometimes we get numb to it, or we turn a blind eye and we don't want to hear it, or you think, well, I'm not racist and I don't deal with that, so I don't need to hear about it, or I'm not gonna get involved or whatever. But like, it's more serious than you think and it's affecting people more than you think it is. So I just want you to hear what Todrick has to say about it. And if you guys want, there's a link in the description below. You guys can go sign the petition for him to have justice. Hi.
Hi.
I love you.
I love you more.
So I just wanted to talk to you for a second because I feel like when you lived with me, you opened my eyes to like how much a lot of people walk around thinking like, well, I'm not racist. And like, yeah, racism exists, but it's better than it was. And don't realize how bad it still is. And so I kind of wanted you to touch on that. I mean, one thing that Eric said to me earlier today that made me go like, oh my God, that's so true, is like, this is just one person that this has happened to that we know about right now. And the only reason it's in the news is because there was footage of it. So he said, think of all the people who've been murdered or attacked and there wasn't footage of it, so there'll just never be justice. I was like, oh my God, like that's terrifying.
No, it's really, really sad to think about that. And first of all, I love you so much and thank you so much for doing this. When I lived at your house, I would walk around because that's how I write all my songs and all my videos, and the cops would get called and they would come and pull up to me, and I would already know what the drill is. I know how to act, and as Black people, we have to have like two voices: the voice that we talk to our parents with, and the voice that we feel comfortable with at home, and then a voice that we use if we want to get a job, if we want to talk to someone in a professional manner, or if a policeman pulls up to us. It's something that our parents have to teach us. Pull down your hoodie, don't reach into your phone, say yes sir.
Didn't you say that like one time you had been like pinned to the ground? Like you...
Oh yeah, I was walking on the street. This was just like 3 or 4 years ago, and the cop car pulled up onto the street, and I had my headphones in my ear, and there were no AirPods at that point, so they were the long corded ones. And my mom started screaming because she could hear the cops yelling at me. I don't know what to do. I've never been pulled over by a cop like on the street. I didn't even know it was legal for them to drive a cop car onto a sidewalk. I tried to reach into my pocket to turn my phone off so that I could hear what they were saying, and they pulled guns out because they thought that I was reaching for a gun. I immediately ripped the headphones out of my ears and just threw them, and I lifted my hands up into the air, and they pushed me down. And when you say this, people don't really understand what it's like because I've never been arrested before. So when they pushed me down, it was this hot summer day, so the gravel was like burning my face, and they were pushing my face into the ground and put handcuffs on me. And also, people don't understand how bad handcuffs hurt.
Stop, for no reason.
No reason. I just was walking out of the blue on a regular day, and they pushed me onto the street. And luckily, when I started talking to them, I was like, I am not the person you're looking for. I have no idea what's going on. They ended up explaining to me once they unhandcuffed me that there was a burglar in the neighborhood and that I, quote unquote, matched the description. By the way, I was wearing some Daisy Duke shorts that you could hardly even see because I was living my full Ariana Grande fantasy with like a big hoodie and like little shorts. And I had on UGG boots that had my name Swarovski crystalled on the side.
That sounds like a robber to me.
It became so real to me at that moment that in 2 seconds, if I had reached into my pocket any longer, I could have just not been here to even have this FaceTime call with you today. It was so scary and so crazy. And if they had shot me, they could have said anything. They could have made up any story and someone might have believed them. So it's
How much
crazy.
do you know about the situation with Ahmaud? That's how you say his name, right?
Yeah. All I know is that apparently the only, thing that the other side and the lawyer for the two men who killed him had to say was that there had been a burglar that had come into their neighborhood a few times, but he didn't have anything on him. He didn't try to break into a house. If you watch the footage, which you can see like on P. Diddy's Instagram, I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I could only watch up until the guy in the pickup truck pulled out his gun, and then I had to turn it off because I didn't want to watch him get shot.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to watch. And like you said, Eric brings up such a great point because had that footage not come out, this happened in February. Right. It became a big deal because the footage was leaked. Right. Honestly, at the end of the day, there may be laws to protect these people. And I think two things: we need to be petitioning to change those laws so it's not just okay for you to shoot someone on the street who's not on your property, who has not addressed you. this guy was just running, going for a jog. But also, it is just an insane thing that these people can do this and not be arrested. And I think that there's a huge double standard, because when a black man does, because it does happen that white people are killed by black men, and that's some people's argument. But when that happens, that black person goes to jail, and then they stay there, and they are not released until they're proven innocent.
Right. And I think that's the biggest issue. I mean, there's a lot of issues here, but the biggest issue right now to me, to anyone who argues this, to anyone who says, well, we don't know the full story, if that's your argument, fine. They still should have been arrested. They shot a man and killed him dead. Like, they should not just be allowed to just be free and no consequences for shooting and killing a man.
It's crazy that can happen in America where we live, because you would assume that if you killed someone, you can't even have an expired license and not get arrested and go to the jail, let alone murder someone on the street. It be filmed and documented, and then you go home and are able to watch a new episode of Tiger King. You know, like, that's
right.
Insane. I've been telling a lot of my white friends to watch Hello Privilege, It's Me, Chelsea, because it's a documentary from Chelsea Handler's point of view that's really real. It's really well edited. There are moments in it that are funny, so it's kind of lighthearted, but it tackles really, really serious issues in a way that I think sometimes you need someone. You know, sometimes as a gay man, if another gay man says something to me, I'm like, great, I understand it, because they're saying it from a perspective that applies to me, that I can understand and recognize, which is why I think it's awesome that you're doing this. It's like, I don't think you understand the impact that you, with your millions of followers, have by doing this, because some people who would have felt threatened had they seen me say it or another black person say it can look at you and know that your only goal is the best interest of all humankind. And they will say, if Colleen is saying this, it's something I should look into and consider for even 1 second. So it's really incredible, and I think that
I didn't feel any sort of way really about it until you and I got really, really close and you lived with me, because I always, like I said, I was always like, well, yeah, racism exists. It's not as bad as it was, so at least we're moving in the right direction. I remember being in your room here and you were like, girl, it's still really bad. And I was like, it is? And you said it earlier to me when we were FaceTiming, like, you're like, you will never have to teach Flynn to take his hands out of his pockets or put his hood down, or to be afraid, like, if a cop pulls him over, that he's going to get shot. Like, I've never, when I've been pulled over by a cop, thought, oh, what if I get shot right now? I think, oh, crap, what if I get a ticket? The fact that every time you get pulled over, that's what you think. Like, I might get shot right now. This could be where I die. That's insane. And that's wrong. Like, we need to squash this now as much as we can as a community, so that the next generation doesn't have to fear it like you do. It's
a much bigger conversation that we don't have to get into today, but we could talk about it later. But we were brought to this country and told we couldn't learn to read or write. And it's not a dinosaur type of thing. It's something that my mom didn't get to go to school with white people. She still feels uncomfortable. If I brought my mom to your house, she'd be nervous probably to walk in, because she wasn't allowed to do that growing up. It's not something that happened a million years ago. Right. It affects us every day. So it's just important for people to know that, because a lot of black people don't feel comfortable to talk to their friends to even explain that to them. So if they don't seek it out, or people like you don't use their platform to tell them, then they would just never know. I will never be able to understand fully because of my privilege and because of my whiteness. The only thing that, like, I can sort of a little bit relate it to, and it's not even close to the same, I always found that when I worked with a man by my side, I would not be heard. But if I said the same thing to, like, my brother, who's my producing partner and my writing partner, if I asked him to tell people, it would get done. Whereas if I asked for it, they'd ask me questions and they'd doubt it and they wouldn't want to do it. But if my brother said, it happened right away. On tour, I have me and Corey, and Corey's gay, and it's hard to get people to listen to me at theaters. They won't listen to me, and they won't listen to Corey, but my cousin, who's this, like, bro, like, they're like, oh yeah, man, whatever you need. It doesn't matter how much I've shown my worth, and it doesn't matter how hard I've worked. Like, at the end of the day, I'm a woman. It's harder for people to respect women. If you want to admit it or not, it's the truth. And it goes, it's like that times a million for black people, because it's your lives on the line, you know, and you're fearing for your life. You're not just fearing for, like, well, I hope this person listens to my direction. It's, oh, I hope I don't get shot. Yeah. So, I mean, it's obviously much more intense. But I think it's really healthy for you to compare it to something that you've experienced, because sometimes I've been on the phone with gay men who, they're like, I don't really feel like racism is that big of a deal. And I have to compare it to straight people saying, like, why do you need to get married? That's not a privilege to get married. I'm like, it actually is a privilege to get married. Sometimes I would have to explain to a white gay man what that discrimination looks like as a Black person, and that's how they were able to see eye to eye.
I just wanted to talk to you and hear your perspective, because I feel like just coming from me isn't as powerful as hearing it from it. Like, people know you and love you and adore you, and they've seen you on Broadway with me, and they've seen you do all these incredible things and on RuPaul's Drag Race. And for people, my audience, to hear like, no, even you have been pinned to the ground and handcuffed for literally no reason other than you are a Black man. Like, racism is very, very much still a huge part of this country and this world, and it needs to stop. And so we want justice for this man who was just shot, cold-blooded murder, dead in the middle of the street, just for being on a jog. And so there is a link in my description for you guys to go sign a petition and spread the word, because there's more you can do than just post on your Instagram with a broken heart emoji. Like, you cannot, which is good, do that, because that's good, and like, people should be doing that.
It's a great start.
But like, there's more you can do. You can call and complain and demand action, and you can sign the petition, and you can
donate money even if you want to help the family.
Yeah. There's stuff to do. So anyway, thanks for talking.
I just want to say one more thing, because this is so important to me. Friends come to me that are white, and they have like a Thanksgiving dinner, and they come back and they're like, I'm so frustrated because my uncle or my grandpa or my big brother said something I felt was racist. That's what you can do, even if you don't have money to give to this cause. Even that little step of you using your voice, and it doesn't have to be an argument. You can say in a really nice way, that offends me, and I don't think that that's something that we should say. I felt like that was like racially insensitive. Speak up if you hear something that's happening that you feel is racist, and that you feel that they wouldn't say if I were sitting in the room. Speak up, because them realizing that it bothers you would maybe make them second guess it if they were going to do it again. And that is a really, really powerful way, the most powerful way to end racism. If every single person stopped their family from saying things that are racially backed and racially insensitive, it would play a huge part in helping change the generation, so that our children can grow up in a world where this is not a conversation that they have to be having, and where everybody, my kids that are unborn yet and Flynn, can play together and be safe. And I just want to say, I just thank you so much. You have no idea how impactful this is and what it means to me as your friend. I think you're such a phenomenal person. What you've done as an ally for gay people, for people of color, for just people in general who feel disenfranchised or like their opinions don't matter. You make people laugh, you uplift people, and I just think you're an incredible person. Your parents have raised you so well, which is probably the reason you don't see this sometimes, because I feel so loved by your family, and Eric and Corey and everybody that you surround yourself is so full of love, and I just love that you're projecting that into the world, because we need more people like you, and that's why I stand you.
I love you. I stand you more, girl. That's like, you don't even know. I miss you. I miss when you lived here and we would dress up in costumes and dance and be just total idiots every day. And I can't wait till quarantine is over so we can have a kiki.
I can't wait also. I love you.
I love you. It was great to talk to Todrick. Now it is time to clean. Eric said today is dedicated to cleaning our room. We've decided to make like little goals for ourselves, because if we're like, well, today's cleaning day, we're cleaning the whole house, it won't get done, and then we'll get disappointed and we won't keep going. So every day we're doing a little thing. Today we're cleaning our room, because our room is a disaster. So let's go do it. We cleaned the room for a while. Okay, I know it looks like I didn't clean anything because I'm literally filming in the same spot, and I'm like, I'm gonna go clean. Okay, I cleaned. I really did go upstairs and we cleaned for a few hours, and then I came back downstairs and I just so happened to pick up my camera and continue to film in the exact same spot. But I did go upstairs and clean for a couple hours. Anyway, let's continue. And now I think I hear the vacuum, which means Eric is vacuuming, and now I'm making dinner. I'm doing I'm making garlic knots. Yay! I wanted to do something kind of easier for dinner, so I'm doing spaghetti and meatballs, so I'm thawing out some meat. By the way, some of y'all have been coming for me because I say de-thaw. I've always said de-thaw, like when I'm talking about frozen meat and making it not frozen. Everyone's like, de-thaw is not right. Because thawing is the word, you're thawing the meat. So if I say I'm de-thawing it, that means I'm refreezing it after thawing it. But I've always said de-thaw. Have you ever said de-thaw, Corey, or did you say? Right, but everyone makes fun of me for it. But so I try, sometimes I remember to say thaw so you guys don't come for me, but sometimes I forget. And so, yes, I say de-thaw meat, but I don't know why.
I think it's because we're trying to say defrost.
Yes, it's a mixture of defrosting and thawing. Yes, that's totally true. So anyway, I'm defrosting / thawing the red meat so that I can make some meatballs tonight for dinner, but I'm trying to make these yummy garlic knots again, because last time we made them, they were so They were so good. So I wanna make them again. So right now I'm making a mixture of yeast and letting it froth so that I can make the dough. We're making garlic knots. I love these garlic knots. I've already taught you the recipe in the past, but it's a little gnat. There's so many bugs in the summer, I hate bugs. And now's the time to make the knots. Last time Eric did not get to participate in the actual knot moment. So we're making the knots and then you let them rise. So basically this is the fun part and he missed out on it last time. So you cut a little sliver like this, Lovey, and then you tie a little knot and then you pull it here. Oh, garlic knots, delicious. Hell yes, this looks so good. Dinner was yummy, but now it is finally time to paint Flynn's little foot that we made a couple days ago. We don't want to paint the whole thing. I think I'm gonna paint his foot and then the little writing, right? Like not the whole thing. Easy. All right, that's what I'm gonna do right now. Oh, it's blue like a frozen toast. I didn't even think of that. Oh my God. That's so sweet. Oh my God, why does that make me want to cry? Flynn 2020. You can't really see the Flynn very well because it's yellow, but he really loves the color yellow, so his name had to be yellow. I think yellow and orange are the colors that he usually gravitates to when he's playing with toys, so he likes yellow, so his name's gonna be in yellow. How cute is this? We're just like looking at this. We're looking at this foot and it's just so crazy that like we did a footprint of our son in a thing. Didn't even think about it being a process until I was painting it blue. We even decided, oh, let's paint it blue. I'm painting it blue and now after painting it blue, I'm like, oh my God. I don't know, it's just crazy. We're just looking at this thing. It's so wild that like Frozen Toast is such a huge part of our relationship. It's just like so cool. I know I'm tired and like crazy right now, but like I love that we just painted our son's foot blue. I don't know, that's so sweet to me. It makes me want to cry. That's so cool. And I just like that we didn't plan it. It's not like we were like, ooh, let's do Frozen Toast. It was until I was like half done painting it blue that I was like, wait a second, this is a Frozen Toast. Look at it. Oh my God, this little foot. Hola, señoritas. I wanted to give you an update. The two men who murdered that man are arrested. That happened since I had that talk with Todrick today. But I'm still really excited to share my conversation with Todrick with you guys because I think it's really eye-opening, regardless of the situation. It's eye-opening for anyone with privilege to hear and know that racism is still very, very much in our existence and in our world, and it's not something we should ignore or take lightly. You know, Todrick and I had a long conversation earlier in the day, then you guys watched a little bit of our conversation, and then we talked for like an hour after that as well. And, you know, he just kept saying like, I just wish more white people would talk about it and, you know, bring more awareness to the situations like this. And it was shocking for me a few years ago when Todrick told me that like in my own neighborhood people were calling the cops on him just because he's black. I had no idea that kind of stuff happened just every day to black people. Like I was so ignorant. I had no idea. And I don't think it's an insult for someone to call you privileged. If you're aware that you are privileged, that's just a fact that you know that can help you to make the world a better place. I know that I have privilege. Everyone has privilege somewhere in their life. Everyone has a privilege. I should be using my privilege to bring awareness to the people who don't have the same opportunities that I do only because of their skin color. Like it's just important. So I'm still learning and I'm still figuring it out, and I still have so much to learn and open my eyes from my privilege, if that makes sense. Yes, we all have struggles and we all have hard things in our lives. We all have different challenges and we all have privileges. Sometimes when people are calling you privileged, it's not an insult, it's just a fact, and they're trying to get you to see like maybe you should open your eyes a little bit more to their situation. I love you guys, and I hope you're staying safe and happy and sane during this quarantine. And I'm gonna go do some work and go to bed. So I'll see you tomorrow.